Mindset shift for increased happiness. And even just saying that makes me go, oh, this is going to be a lovely little one, isn't it? Oh, a mindset shift for increased happiness. So let's kick this off, Moira. I'm going to bat it over to you. How would you like to start this one?
So, like you, I'm all about the mindset shift. I love mindset shift. You see, I think one of the reasons I love the idea of mindset shift is it really embodies the internal aspect. It's something that you can choose within yourself.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Welcome. Hi, Moira.
Hello, my dear.
Hello, listeners. This is Debz Cooper from the Deliciously Motivated Mindset podcast, conversation, convo, chit-chat.
Episode,
yes. Insight, whatever we were going to call it.
Paradigm shifting session.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I like that. There's a podcast on their own.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. If you have joined us before, that's amazing that you've come back. It's amazing. And if you haven't joined us before, where have you been? Come on.
Yeah, and welcome. Finally,
and welcome. Finally you got here. So we have a ritual that we do at the start of every podcast and at the end of every podcast. And it is a pretty simple ritual. And it's quite insightful. So what we do is we rate ourselves, and we rate ourselves on a scale of 0 to 10 to see where you are emotionally, physically,
mentally, emotionally,
spiritually, just where you are. All of it, where you are now. And then at the end, we encourage you to go back and just check. And our aim is to get you away from the double figures and closer to the 0. So if you're a 10, which is a 9, between 9 and 11, a 10 is emotional basket case. Can I say that? When you're just
chaos, feeling stuck and overwhelmed.
Yeah, at an extreme, crazy, can't get out of this place level where you feel you're at. And a 0 is, and a 5 is, oh my God, things are wobbling. So we go 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And a 0 is just, 0 is for Zen, we've decided. It's just a beautiful space to be where you just feel like things are in flow. So in saying that, Moira and I rate ourselves, and then we check in also at halftime, and then at the end, it's great to see if you've shifted. So we're encouraging you to get moving towards that 0 moment. So Moira, where would you be right here, right now, before we kick things off?
I'm going to put myself at 2.5 today. We always talk and sort out the world's issues before we press record. But as we were getting ready to start this one, and today's a goodie, of course.
Goodie.
Of course. But I've got a tickle in my throat, and we know that that's something, it's like something within me is coming up. And so I just want to sit and be present with that. I'm not going to label anything about it, but just intrigued. And so because of that energy, I'm going to say 2.5. How about you?
Well, actually funny, because I started coughing just before we went to hit record. And then I also said, oh my gosh, I've got the hiccup. So let's see what uncovers with that. But I'm going to say I'm a 2. I feel very different. And I haven't spoken to Moira for a week. in fact, 2 weeks. So it's
2
super
weeks,
cool to
yeah.
be back here chatting to her. So I'm going to say a 2 and we'll just see. So write down your number or make a note somewhere and then we crack on here. But if you've got pen and paper, I encourage you to jot some thoughts down as we give you some insight into
and you know, with our conversation, sometimes you might have a question, or you'd say, oh, I need to go a bit deeper in that, or I want to get some clarification onto what on earth they're talking about. Let us know. Please let us know. You can contact us through our Facebook page or directly on Messenger. However we can be found quite easily, I think.
We can be found. We can be found. Fortunately or unfortunately, yes. So yes. So let us know your numbers would be amazing. So today we are talking. Our topic is a goodie, and it's mindset shift for increased happiness. Mindset shift for increased happiness. And even just saying that makes me go, oh, this is going to be a lovely little one, isn't it? Oh, a mindset shift for increased happiness. So let's kick this off, Moira. I'm going to bat it over to you. How would you like to start this one?
So, like you, I'm all about the mindset shift. I love mindset shift. You see, I think one of the reasons I love the idea of mindset shift is it really embodies the internal aspect. It's something that you can choose within yourself. And then the other part, so I'm sort of breaking this apart into mindset shift and then increased happiness. It's highly individualized, because what makes me happy may not make you happy. And it's about having a mindset shift that says, even if you're not entirely aware or clear on all of the things that make you happy, it's to say, even though you don't know them, you are opening yourself to that. You're shifting your mindset into, and actually it's a wee bit like that energy that you just said about this is a good one. So how can you shift your mindset into what am I going to discover about myself today, or how I show up in it, or what makes me light up or makes my heart sing? These are all other ways of saying increased happiness, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I love that, because one of the things I've started doing, possibly just this year, is when I find there's an emotional block with me, I used to go, oh God, I've got to deal with it. Oh, why is this happening to me? Why? Or I'll go down that rabbit hole. Just, could take longer than a day, could be taking less. But what I've started doing is I've started celebrating my emotional blocks. So when an emotional block comes up, I go, oh, this is a goodie. Oh, why am I feeling like this? Oh, what's going, well, maybe not why, but what's happening deeper down? Let's dig into this. And so I'm approaching each icky situation with this is something that's going to be a goodie to unlock.
Yeah, I like that.
And that alone is instantly a mindset shift.
Truly is.
So instead of going, oh no, my car's broken down, it hasn't, by the way, my car's broken down again and I don't have the money to do this or something like this, instead of going, oh, poor me, I'm like, wonder what's happened here. Wonder what's emotionally gone on that this has happened. Wonder, is this something that I've missed last year when I knew there was oil needed in my car, or I need to have a service, and I put it out like, and just that alone, celebrating the ickiness and to know there's something that you can clear than going, what now?
I love that. And I think that that's such an important and powerful mindset shift, because it's acknowledging that everything in life that we experience is for us. It's not against us.
Oh, we have this conversation quite often, don't we?
Yes, we do.
On the way, not in the way.
Other thing, yes, on the way, not in the way. But the other part too is that life is flowing through us, not to us. Right? And so that's a little bit of a paradigm shift too, because if I see everything around me as my creation or my choice or in my control, I don't like the word control, in my responsibility, my sphere of awareness, my capacity to do or not do, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that when we come into these kind of things like that, and we're just aware of not saying, oh, these are good emotions and those are bad emotions. This is a good situation and that's a bad
Labels
situation.
are a
Yeah.
curse and a blessing. Yeah.
It reminds me of I was doing a group session last week and we were talking about spiritual, I got my fingers in quotation marks, spiritual thinking and not spiritual thinking. Well, it's all thinking. So if you're sitting there feeling
I had to laugh
resentful
because
or-
when you're doing that, I was like, what is the difference?
yeah, truly. But we judge ourselves. And actually, it turned out that there was quite a few people on this group call that were like, oh, yeah, I do that all the time.
Oh, wow.
Because so the idea being that if you see something on Facebook or you see a headline and you think, oh my God, that's terrible and they shouldn't be doing that. And that's and maybe you feel some sort of shame or guilt or resentment or irritation or these kind of things. And then you go, oh my God, I shouldn't be doing this because I'm a spiritual person. Spiritual people don't do stuff like that. It's like, yep, nope, you just went down somewhere that's going to undermine your resilience to just going, like you're saying, oh, what do I get to discover here? What do I get to unpack and learn and, witness within myself?
Yeah, I think I love spiritual thinking. I just was like, oh, is there a difference? But you're right, because spiritual beings aren't meant to judge. Spiritual beings are meant to sit in harmony and live in that world. Well, for goodness sake, you're actually, whether you're a spiritual being or not, well, you are a spiritual being, you're also a human being, and human beings have emotion, and you have to deal with your emotion.
That's right, because these emotions, and I think I've said this to you before, we've talked about this, that I believe every one of our emotions are actually demanding our respect.
Absolutely.
So if they're judgy, resentful, irritated, hopeless, helpless, they're just saying, feel me, sit with me, breathe, and we'll pass.
Well, that just that alone is a mindset shift.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so labels are a mindset shift. Anything you do or everything you do is a mindset shift if you are prepared to see it like that. Because when you recognize, oh, I've just ate a whole loaf of bread, oh my gosh, I feel bloated and I've got tummy ache and I feel lethargic.
I shouldn't have done that and I'm stupid. And
so that's a mindset shift. Just that alone, that's a mindset shift to increase your happiness, because that alone is, oh my gosh, if I hadn't have eaten all that pasta or all that bread or whatever, I wouldn't be feeling like this. So, maybe I've got something going on that I would have been wiser to have more veggies and less bread or whatever,
Right.
whatever. But even any of those aha moments are your mindset shift for your increased happiness. If you, straight away, it's definitely a mindset shift, which is going to help you increase happiness.
Yeah.
But it's how far you're going to take it. And I think that's how deep you're going to go in digging and unlocking stuff.
But the other part in this is about worthiness, because each one of us is worthy of going as deep as possible, right? Going right down to the root and pulling out roots and all, right? Because that's if you don't go down to the root of an emotional issue or situation that's going on, if you don't, it's going to come up again.
You're surfacing, aren't you?
Yeah. Just glossing over it or paying lip service to it or getting caught off guard
Putting
by
a
a
Band-Aid
story.
on it.
Yeah, it is putting a Band-Aid over it, right?
Yeah.
And so then that's a good analogy, because think about if you had a wound that there's something in there, like let's say you had a chip of wood or something in.
I was just going to say a splinter.
Splinters
are horrible.
Then you just
They're
put
little
a Band-Aid
things
over
that,
it. Yeah,
actually, splinters are a great example because they fester.
They fester, but that's my point, right? So if you had a splinter and you didn't do anything about getting tweezers and pulling it out or something, you stuck a Band-Aid over it. I was going to say plaster, but I don't know if you know what that means.
We say plaster,
Oh,
but
do you?
we
Good.
also
That's
we
what
also
they say in Scotland.
Okay, we also say Band-Aid because I think Band-Aid's
It's a brand name.
It's a brand, isn't it?
It
Yeah.
is a brand name.
Yeah,
So I was
plaster.
going
We
to say,
say
stick a
plaster.
plaster over it. So I'm good. So we're on the same page.
Okay,
So
we're good.
stick a
Okay.
plaster.
Phew.
But the subtitle is Band-Aid for those
Okay.
who don't know what plaster is. But if
Yeah.
you do that, think about it, it becomes all infected and fester away. And so this is a great analogy for realizing that that splinter is like the core essence of that issue or that emotional intel that you have to just say, okay, sit. I'm just going to and you know, soothe it, wash it out, and like I said, get tweezers to pull it out.
Yeah.
All of it. And that's how that's what I'm saying about worthiness, is that we are all worthy of our own diligence and our own kind attention in these affairs of the heart, really. This is the emotional intelligence, right?
Well, we know what happens if you don't do that splinter. If you don't, we say, I grew up on the just let it be, it'll come right. Like that whole saying. But we know if you put a plaster over that splinter, that if you don't deal with it and it has an infection, and next thing you know, it did that. And then when you have to rip the plaster off, because you actually have to rip it off, because even if you soak it in water, it just, there's something about it just won't blooming come off, and you've got to take that off. You're ripping the Band-Aid off at an excessively yucky thing, and you're going to rip the top of anything that started to try and patch it up and heal. And it's just, it ain't, there ain't no increased happiness there unless you're into pain and pus. I can say that.
Okay, this is going a bit too much.
But that's what happens if you don't deal with it. But that just that alone, that mindset shift of going, okay, here it is here. If I tackle this now, or if I deal with this now, if I work on this now, it's way smaller task than letting it build up.
And I can do it. It won't take that long, you know, as opposed to having to do this huge, big cleansing and healing process.
Plaster.
Yeah.
Down the track. Oh, this hurts me. Oh, I ripped it off here. I need to put another one on. I don't have time for that. Whereas just tackle that straight away. Then I can say tackle it.
And you know, that's how two words come to mind about in this area that I really like referring to is resilience and responsibility. So it's like when we show up and say, okay, I've got a splinter or I've got some issue that's bothering me. Resilience says, I may not be able to see the way through it, but I'm in it. And so I'm just going to breathe through it and maybe journal or soothe myself in a way that's not alcohol or food related.
Yeah, chocolate.
But do you know what I mean? Because sometimes we can, and that's a kind of a human condition too, is that if I've got something.
Well, we do jump back to our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And when you feel you're emotionally broken or shattered or cracked or anything, we do go to our comfort blanket. Whatever that comfort blanket is. Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying soothing is very important. I have a lot of clients that know that I talk about self-soothing kit, but they are not related to anything like any food related items or drugs or cigarettes or any of that kind of stuff. The soothing kit, and maybe this is something for people to be aware of in order to get through those uncomfortable emotions or those splinter moments, if you like, is do you need something like inspirational sayings or a piece of music or a sweater or a blanket that you can wrap around your shoulders or things of that nature is what that's kind of things that are in my self-soothing kit.
It's well look, I mean there's no judgment on others to do their soothing kit unless you have a time frame that means things need doing and they're like, but I've just done this or I've just done this and I can't do this. You're like, oh, for goodness sake. So that's all about being flexible in life. Yes. That's definitely a mindset shift, is being flexible. But if you can just change one thing in your day? Like if you were to change, what would be your key to a mindset shift for increased happiness? What's one thing that you would say to people? If you could just do this daily, what
Focus
would
on
that
your
be?
breathing. Put your hand over your heart and focus on your breathing. You
Yeah.
knew I was going to say that.
That was going to be my one too.
Another one, and is that if you find yourself, because sometimes we can get into.
Can we just all do that now? Just everyone, just stop.
Let's just do that.
And just put your hand on your heart and feel it. I just love that. Any excuse
too.
Yeah.
There's always so much warmth, and it feels like you're being wrapped in a big warm blanket. And it doesn't matter if you're just listening to our voice, just do that. And if you can, close your eyes and deepen the awareness of that.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
That just, as my cousin would say, calms your farm. That just calms your farm straight down, hand on heart, hand on heart, just to, and it doesn't block, it blocks everything else that's going on around you until you're ready.
Until you're ready. But you see, the thing is that anything tactile brings your awareness into the moment, whereas something that's like causing you chaos it's ripping you out of the present moment, because you've just shot off into some story of, oh my god, what about this, and can I deal with this, and how about this, and how about this, and blah blah blah.
And that's why I like hand on heart, because you could be driving and put your hand on your heart. You could be in the supermarket and something happens and you put your hand on your heart. You can be watching sport, your kids' sport or something. Anything.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
I've known some people that don't actually like that though. And so for those people who don't like putting their hand over their heart for whatever reason, we're all unique and we have our own preferences, but I just wanted to cover that for a moment, because if you are that type of person, then just rubbing your fingertips, rubbing your thumb against your fingertips, and just keep doing that. Feel all the ridges and the fingertips, and then sometimes somebody said to me that he used to do that a lot. He actually liked that. But then he said, oh, but I'm in a board meeting and all these people seeing me, rubbing my fingers. I said, he said, I can't do it.
Don't do it above your head.
So I said to him, well, just do it in your toes. Do your toes in your shoes, because nobody can see that. So that's what he started doing.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Well, see, I would say, when people do things like, oh God, I don't want someone to see me. If you're standing on stage or something and you have a moment of breather, put your hand on your heart. But that's a great one. Just holding your fingers or anything, or even your toes, curl your toes. What do they say when you're standing presenting? When you're standing and presenting is actually you curl your toes up. Yeah. So it stops you from moving forward and back. So you're actually, so when you're
that gets you very poised.
So
I'm doing that right now. That feels kind of cool.
So it actually stops you, because you're standing talking or something and you might feel yourself swaying or someone's asking a question. It's just put your toes up. And it grounds you. And I was like, oh, that's just silly. And how am I going to do that in my heels? Well, you can, but that's a great one too. If someone's telling you off or anything, and you want to run or something like that, just put your toes up. And it just grounds you, and you just feel present with one. You just feel present with where you are standing right here, right now.
Absolutely, and that's a really good point. That you're saying about if somebody's yelling at you, or finger pointing, or there's something energy like that. It's really important to, number one, recognize that we are never in a situation that we cannot deal with.
Say that again, because I don't know if people hear that.
I know. We are never in a situation that we cannot deal with. Unfortunately, sometimes we are in situations that we cannot see how we can deal with it in that moment. But if we just let go and say, okay, right now, I don't know how I'm getting through this, or how I can deal with this person who's screaming at me, or I don't know. But I would not be here if I couldn't deal with this, if I couldn't come through it. And you know what? Even that coming through it might actually be walk away from it. It could be. I'm saying that I'm not saying that that's what's going to work every single time, but we don't have to have all the answers in the moment. It's about saying, okay, this is a sucky situation, and I'm just going to do that one step. Maybe it's just a little baby step. Maybe it's repeating, this is not about me, in my head.
Well, I think even just you saying you don't have to have the answers in the moment, that there is a mindset shift.
It is.
So the moment you just go, I don't have to have the answers right here, right now.
Yes.
And yes, people are asking you something, or yes, you've said to somebody you'll get back to them, but you like, this is you. This is your choice of you calling the shots. Yes, other people have their own time frames, if you're working for people or there's whatever going on. But if you don't have the answer, don't try and force it. And I love that alone is a mindset shift.
It is. It is. And I know myself in my own growing up and healing journey. I've been in so many situations where somebody's asking me like really aggressively, what's the answer and what's your choice and what you're going to do, and so there has been so many times where I've just like said the first thing, or said what I thought was going to keep them happy, or we can't do that because we're selling ourselves short. And this is coming back to worthiness. And so to your point too, it is so important to own that I'll get back to you statement. I don't know what the answer is right now. Give me some space.
I have a lot more
respect. Boundaries.
I have a lot more respect from people who say, I don't know. I have to come back to you. I don't know. And even though you just go, oh, for goodness sake, I just want the answer now. You go, okay, well, when they come back to me, they're going to come back to me with so much more certainty. They're going to know all the answers and not just give me,
they're going to come back with their authenticity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And respect for you, because you have also respected them.
Yeah,
so there's going to be a different
level. Space.
You've just gone, yep, okay, let me know when or whatever. And then when they come back, they're going to come back with 100%.
Yes.
Not just 30% that they're trying to pad up to 100%.
Yeah.
And I think these are all
mindset shifts.
It happened.
It did. She did it.
These are all mindset shifts for our increased happiness. But also know that you can have a mindset shift to decrease your happiness. And that's when you sit in that victim mode or that labeling mode. But when you're sitting there, you can sit there and there's a level of, okay, I know I must get out of this. I have, it's going to be wise for me to get out of this situation I'm in. What can take me out?
Yeah.
That there alone is that acknowledgement of I'm in here. And that's a mindset shift for your increased, my fingers in the air, quotation marks, fingers in the air. Yeah, that's for you.
But it's this is going back to that everything is on your way, not in your way, because it's really going back to, okay, I can sit and think, oh yeah, this thing is right in my way, it's blocking me. And sometimes we may need to sit there for a moment or more to just go, yep, this thing's right here, can't get through it, until we come back to
just sitting. Just sitting is a part of that shift.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
Because at some point you'll kind of go, oh, hey, wait, I could actually go around this way.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden everything changes. And you've allowed yourself to sit and feel the feelings. It's okay to sit and feel into a victim mode. In fact, when I'm
how many times do you walk away from, I was just going to say, how many times do you walk away from somebody and go, man, I wish I'd said that. I wish I'd done that. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
And that if you're just sat,
Then you would
the answers come to
allow
you
it to flow.
yeah.
No,
What were you
really
just
good.
about to say then?
I was just thinking, reflecting on some of my patients that I work with that are cancer patients, clients that are cancer patients. Sometimes it's really important for them to allow themselves their pity party or their victim story. And it's an important piece. In fact, I get them to do it while doing EFT tapping, emotion freedom technique tapping.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is they're really allowing themselves to really dig deep on the emotional sort of baggage or fear or anxiety or guilt, shame, beating themselves up because I should have ate more better, I should have exercised more, I should have done this, I should, right?
Should have ordered, coulda, that one.
Yeah. So I will facilitate them to move through stuff like that. It's best to actually tell the truth. That's what I'm feeling right now. But there are techniques, and like I said, I actually really prefer using EFT because it can actually help you shift through that quite quickly. And just, tell the truth. That's what I'll say to them. So it's okay to have a pity party, but keep tapping. Right?
I think I don't like victim mode, and I'm labeling it victim mode. I don't like that. I don't like sitting in there myself. I don't like other people sitting there myself, but I know victim mode serves.
Yes.
There is gratitude that can come from that victim mode.
Yep.
And it's my label, victim mode, but it's how long you sit in there for. That's the difference. And if you're going to sit in there for a long time, whatever you label a long time, because Moira's long time could be different to my long time, which could be different to you, the listener's long time. Whatever you sit in there for, just know that when you're ready to get out, then everything is ready for you to work on whatever it is.
That's right. And you will be open to recognizing the steps and the processes and the ways of coming through it, right?
But there's definitely gratitude in that mindset shift, but in that space, but when you're ready, and it's not, it has to be your time frame. It has to be your time frame, not someone else's.
That's so important, because as you were saying that, I was thinking of how many times I've heard people say, "Oh, I shouldn't be feeling like this anymore. I should." Oh,
I've stayed here. I've been, I'm grieving for 4 months. I should be able to go on and have a date, or I should be able to go out and get in the car. And it's like, who?
See, that's diluting and getting away from what is your time frame. Your time frame is yours. And so if you're sitting there going, "Oh, well, so-and-so down the road, they got over it like within a week."
Oh my God, comparing stories.
I know. I know. And it's so prevalent. It's just
comparing is it. Look, I mean, I remember I had a medical thing recently. Well, actually not recent, 2-3 years ago. Recently. So everything's recently. And the doctor said, if you hear the neighbor's sister's cousin's dog owner's friend on the other side of the world has the same thing as you, and they didn't survive, or they survived, message me. Don't listen to anyone else's story, because you can have the black plate, they can have the black plate, but yours will be a different shade of black. And that's the stuff we go, oh yeah, but they also had that. It's like, you've got to remember we are all different. They drank the Kool-Aid differently that morning. You drank it at 10 o'clock. They drank it at 9:58.
Right. That's so important. Do you remember we talked about this once before too, about many years ago? Gosh, it's got to be almost 15 years ago. When I
not you and I talking about it 15 years ago.
No, it wasn't that. But I had broken my arm, and I came to realize that when you have something that's obvious, right, that people can see, everybody wants to come and tell you their story.
Oh my gosh, yes.
They want to come and tell you about their broken limb story, their broken ankle, or their uncles, or their wives, or their, right? And so it's like, Thank you. We're all in this, yes, for sure. But right now I'm dealing with my broken arm.
That's pregnancy. Oh, hello, little darling. The little one's just come
puppy
in.
came to say hi.
Yeah. So that's pregnancy. People go, oh, my person had this, and this, and and pregnancy, and you're just like, why? Why are you telling me that? Like,
I know.
I'm just like
I'm dealing with this.
I'm 6 weeks pregnant, and you're telling me birth stories now. No, like why?
But isn't it? It's a funny propensity.
But
I
you
remember
think you're
having
helping.
major surgery like way back in the 80s, and that's what everybody wanted to sit and tell me about their big surgeries. And I just got out of hospital dealing with my own recovery.
You're like, no.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even that, acknowledging that, like, I love that people would love to share that stuff. They respect you enough and they honor you enough to share their world with you and say, well, this is what happened to me, or this is what happened to
and
my
they're trying to
neighbors, sisters.
They're trying to be comforting and
I love that
say,
they
I
do
see
that.
you. I think that, yep, I get that.
I love that they have that respect to share that with you. However, if you can just honor them and then send them on their way, that's a mindset shift on your own.
Thank you for your input, but I'm good right now.
Yeah.
Because and to your point, what you were saying, and I see a lot of people do this. It's like they might get a diagnosis of some sort, and then they start to talk to Dr. Google, I call it.
Which we all die. Dr. Google, end result of everything, even a splinter, you're going to die. But so it can go on that.
It can. And so that's the key pieces back to those two words I said a moment ago about, I really like to encourage people to feel into their own resilience and understand that you're responsible for everything in you. And so for somebody, if somebody's coming and saying, oh yeah, I had that too, and or the pregnancy stories or the broken limb stories, thank you. I honor and I value your input, but I'm still dealing with this in my own resilient and responsible way. Maybe some of the tips or things that they gave you might come on stream and be supportive.
Yeah.
But then you choose it, right?
And people can call them opinionated, but they're just, and if you just do it this way, this helps. It's just like, okay, back off.
Thank you for your opinion.
Yeah, thanks for that. Oh, I hadn't looked at it that way. Wow, that's insightful. Thank you. And shut that shift down. And shut it down as quick as you can. But people do give their gifts away, and in their mind they're just helping. In your mind, it depends on the day you've had. It depends what type of Kool-Aid you've drunk that day and when you drunk it, whether you've had breakfast or not. Yep. But there is so much we can do for our mindset shifts, and just the little tips, hand on heart,
rubbing your fingers together, rubbing your toes.
Being around inspiring people,
listening to Debz and Moira on their podcast episodes.
Walking away from inspiring people. Just it's all around your influences around you, whether that's what you've eaten. Like you talk about your pens, but that's exactly it. So today you may have had a great sleep and you can handle it, whereas tomorrow you may have got 20 things that are going on in your mind, and you you'll handle it differently.
Exactly. So the PEMS is that physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. And that's a beautiful way to wrap up this conversation, is to remind people to check in on those 4 levels or the 4 pillars.
Or our numbers.
Our numbers. Well, that's where it's actually accessing those. That's how you are assessing your numbers, is you're checking in physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Right. So wrapping up our conversation, are there any last minute tips you'd like to give our listeners before we get back into rating ourselves?
One word: gratitude.
Very good.
Gratitude for the lot, the highs,
one thing
the lows.
I would like to really encourage people to do is to ask yourself every single day, what would make my heart sing today?
Mm.
What makes my heart sing today? What lights me up? Because that's a beautiful mindset shift in itself to increase your quotient of happiness, however, whatever flavor that turned out to be for you. This is an inner journey too, right?
Yeah. Do more of what your heart sings. Glitter bomb. Yeah.
Yes, all about the glitter bombs.
That's the one.
So, my dear Deb, you were at a 2 to begin with. Where would you put yourself now?
I'm going to say a 0. However, I'm going to say a 0.5 as well. I'm definitely a 0, but I have a few things to do. So I'm going to say a 0.5, just because I've got a few things to work on after this podcast.
Sounds good. And for me, I was going to say I'm a 0, but and then I was thinking, oh, maybe I'm a 1. And then I kept dancing back and forth.
So I guess you're a 0.5 too.
I guess I am a 0.5 also. But I just, that was my piece. I also have things to do after we're finished this episode. But I just really wanted to leave our listeners with that. Step into what is your happy space? What makes you happy? What makes you smile? What's your flavor of all of this? So, dear listeners, do let us know. And as I said at the beginning, let us know if you need any help or resources, or want to go deeper, or need some support in any of the stuff that we talk about. We are here for you.
Absolutely.
Always. Yes.
Yeah.
So
thank you very much, everybody, and Moira.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, dear Deb. Thank you, dear listeners. Look forward to our next awesome conversation, which of course will be a goodie, on our deliciously motivated mindset conversation. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.